Hi everyone, hope you guys are all doing really well. I just wanted to get on here because I recently made a couple videos, but my first video I was kind of expressing, I think I posted it like 2-3 weeks ago, that I'm back at it. I'm going to be doing my Jesus videos again. I took kind of a long break where I just, for one, I've been really busy because we moved here to Florida a year ago, and so all the way from Oregon. So it's been a really just crazy last year, just being really busy transitioning. So I've been busy, but on top of that, I just haven't really felt that urgency, or maybe it's just I haven't felt led to speak. But as of recent, I've felt like God's kind of just waking me up to like, hey, remember when you used to do videos? Like, you need to do that again and start speaking the truth to others, because now's the time to do that. You know, I spoke on my other videos a long time ago. I feel like it's been 2-3 years that I've had this YouTube channel where, you know, we've been talking about what the time is, and that is it's the end times. Like, we know that Jesus is coming soon. We don't know exactly the day or hour, but we know it's the season. And so I'm back wanting to remind you all that we need to keep pressing in and working on a relationship with the Lord and telling the people the truth before time runs out. That's why we're here. That's what we're called to do as disciples of Christ, is to share the good news. And if we're not doing that, what are we doing, you know? So anyway, with that said, in my last I think my first video I posted here like 3 weeks ago, I shared with you guys that I did have a dream a while ago, probably a year ago, about right when we decided to move. And I haven't shared it with anyone really yet, except for my some of my family members, and I felt like it was time to share it with you guys. I haven't again shared it with like anyone. It's a little kind of dark, and so I took some time to really ponder, you know, and think like, is it something to share? But as I've thought about it more, I feel like it's something that I should share. Maybe you guys might know how to interpret it better. Maybe some of you may know how to do that better than I might. I think I have kind of a good idea of what it's kind of implying. I feel like it is a very spiritual dream. And so bear with me. It's a little long. I printed it out and I wanted to read it to you guys. So here is the dream. Okay. It started off okay, where I was with a group of friends or people I knew to do some sort of marathon of some sort together, but there was a big line of people heading to get to the beginning of the marathon as well. For some reason, we all had to go through these buildings, sort of looked like museums, to get there. As we did this, we were greeted by a woman helping organize the crowds of people, etc. As we kept walking forwards, I looked around. To my surprise, my group of people were no longer where to be found, or they were nowhere to be found. I was very confused and looked and recognized no one around me. I started to panic, realizing I didn't even have a phone on me. I got lost in these buildings full of people and was scared. I finally saw that woman again that was organizing the crowds and asked her to help me. She used her phone to call someone to get me some help to find my people. Somehow I ended up in a room where I thought maybe my people would find me there or something. I thought this woman organized it that way. Something was evil about the situation and woman. Something sinister was happening in this place and to my mind. I remember a few other random people in there, in that room. I was in, but little by little, every time I looked down and looked back up, people would be gone and things in the room would change, as if me looking down and looking back up at the time up. Excuse me, you guys. I'm having a hard time reading this. I haven't read this in a year, but mind you, so it's all coming back to me. Let me reread that. I said, I remember a few other random people in the room. I was in, but little by little, every time I looked down and looked back up, people would be gone and things in the room would change, as if me looking down and looking back up, a lot of time had passed. I started to panic again at the realization of this, so I ran to the door and realized they were locked and and the door wouldn't budge. Eventually, I tried again, and the door was, for some reason, out of nowhere, unlocked. I busted the door open and sprinted and somehow found an exit to the creepy building I was in. Although now it was completely empty and looked old and like it was crumbling inside, like it was abandoned. I ran out of there and ended up on some sort of patio, and there was a creepy woman who had a mask on that covered her whole face. She had an old school ball gown on, and that was black. She forced me to dance formally with her, and I was so scared. She finally released me and said, "My fun with you is now over," and pointed towards the stairs out of there. I sprinted to the stairs to escape and saw my way below was a field. In the field was a huge amount of people in a line. At the front of the line was the evil woman at the beginning of my dream. She would behead the people at the beginning of the line, or at the end of the line, and I saw this right before my eyes. The people below in line just nonchalantly waited in line, talking amongst themselves like nothing out of the ordinary was going on. They just blatantly waited in line, slowly moving forward to just get beheaded, even though they could clearly see this was happening. I screamed a blood-curdling scream seeing this and sprinted the other direction and went down the other side of the patio stairs, trying to run as far away from this woman as I could. That place was awful. As I ran the other direction, I found myself in a beautiful field. The sun was shining. There was butterflies and flowers amongst me as I kept running as fast as I could through the field, complete opposite of the place I had been trapped in. It was dark and gray. There were no good feeling or thing to be found. As I was running, I could see in the distance a highway or something, so I kept on going to get away completely. As I ran and ran, I heard the evil woman's voice speaking to me in my head. She said, "You might be running away, but no matter the case, you will find someone to help you escape, and you'll just end up in a wreck here soon anyways and die. So no matter where you go, there will be death." It was as if she was telling me it didn't matter if I was getting beheaded or leaving. I'm dead. And then I woke up. I put on here, I made notes a year ago, and so I printed it out. My note said, "Yikes, evil dream." And I have a few ideas of what this means with how the world is right now. Everyone is blatantly volunteering to follow what is said to do without seeing how dangerous it is. The world is blind to the destruction they are running towards. Or maybe this is about the tribulation. I don't know. So what do you guys think? Sorry, I was kind of blah, 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 blah when I was reading. I haven't read this in a while. I probably should have reread it before I read it out loud to you guys because I forgot a lot of this. But wow, reading it again out loud and just like remembering it, it was so dark and so terrifying. And it's really interesting to see how a lot of this symbolizes to how the world really is and was back when I had this dream. And so my reminder, I guess, through this dream and for you guys, I feel like it's really urgent for us to be so intentional with what we're listening to, with what we're believing every day. Are we putting on the full armor of God? Because as I read this and remember my dream, the crowds of people just listening to the person in charge and just like the line of people going to get beheaded, like just talking nonchalantly amongst themselves, acting like this was normal. And then all of a sudden they get beheaded once they're at the beginning of the line was just, it's so interesting if you really think about that. Are we doing that today? Are we going through the motions, following the crowds, and just going forward, thinking it's nothing, but then in the end, it leads to death? Is that what we're doing? Or are we being intentional and running towards the field that I was running towards, with the sunshine and the warmth and the butterflies and life. I felt in my dream when I was running that way towards the field, getting away from this evil place, I felt peace, and I felt like Jesus was near. But although that is true, I still knew behind me there was evil. I felt the oppression, even though I was running towards Jesus. So I want us to remember, even though we may have Jesus in our life, and he has the authority, and we have the authority through the Holy Spirit over these evil spirits, and the evil in this world, that does not mean evil will not happen to you. That does not mean there's not evil behind you, pressing in, trying to cause destruction in your life. So I want us all to remember that, and to remember to keep running towards Jesus, because he is our escape train. He is our savior, and he will and always is with us to save us through the darkness and destruction that may be happening in your life now, might come soon, or it might be just through the tribulation coming, which thankfully, if we're saved, we won't be here for that. But I just want you guys to know that deception is so real, and not to be blinded. Don't be walking at the beginning of, or walking up to the front of the line, being deceived that you're fine, but what you're really walking up to is death. Just make sure what you are doing in your life isn't unintentional, but is intentional with where you're walking, where you're heading. Okay? Because it is so easy nowadays with our phones, with social media, with Netflix, whatever you're watching, little things will come in and deceive you. And let's make sure we're putting that armor on every day and being so intentional. I can't emphasize that enough. You know, I'm preaching to myself as I say this, but anyways, you guys, I really, really hope that, you know, there's someone out there that might be better at even interpreting this dream than me. And maybe you guys can share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear them. Again, I always want to hear if you guys have prayer requests. Let's write them down below. I will pray for you guys. Let's be there for one another. And I really, really appreciate all of you for following me on here. Again, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep doing these videos, because I think it is time for us to come together and really press in on the truth. Okay. And again, like, remember that truth and doing the right thing isn't always easy. Okay. Showing love to others doesn't always mean it is rainbows and butterflies. Showing love to people sometimes is hard, and doing the hard thing through love is always the right thing to do. And Jesus tells us that. So just keep pressing in on the Lord and his truth, and keep walking and running towards him, you guys. It's all worth it in the end. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. God bless.